Good evening. This is problem number 6 that we did in class today. So please pay attention and try to practice this problem until you can do it on your own. So we have two fractions here. And before doing anything, I will just observe if I can factor anything. So if I look at the top of the first fraction, I can see x to the third and x to the second. And then I can see negative 2x plus 2. Well, it turns out that I can factor out x squared from out of the yellow part, and then I get x minus 1. Now if I look at the green part, I can divide that by minus 2, so I can factor out minus 2, and I'm left with x minus 1. Okay. Well, let's look at the bottom of the fraction. What can I do there? It's very similar. So x to the third plus x to the second, I can factor out x to the second, and I'm left with x plus 1. And then here, I can factor out negative 3. So I can write minus 3 times x plus 1. So we did something with that first fraction. With the second fraction, there's a little problem up top here. This polynomial is not in standard form. So we can group these. We can group x to the third and x to the second, and we can group these two. So let me just write it here on the side so you can see it better. So it's, if we rewrite it, that's x to the third plus x to the second, and then minus 2x minus 2. So what I'm going to do here is group these two. So the top of the other fraction, I'm going to put division sign still, will be x squared, we can pull that out, times x plus 1. And then we can factor out negative 2 again. So minus 2 times x plus 1. Similar way in the bottom, we can group, let's see, x cubed minus 3x squared, so that we can pull out x squared. We're left with x minus 3. And then we can factor out negative 3. So we get minus 3, x minus 3 again. So this is the first round of factoring. Make it all blue. And now we'll look at, again, to see if we can still factor something out. And I see that I can, here on the top, I can factor out x minus 1. So that gives me x minus 1. That's the blue part. And then what's left over, so let's make this also blue, so you know exactly what I did. And let's see what's left over here. We have x squared minus 2. So let's do that. So times x squared minus 2. In the bottom, we have also some things we can factor out. So let's make them blue as well. Make them yellow. We have x plus 1 that we can factor out. So x plus 1 goes here. Now what's left over when we factor that is x squared minus 3. You can write x squared minus 3. So far, so good. Divided by. Now we'll look at the second fraction. What we can factor here is x plus 1 on the top. So we got x plus 1, which leaves us with x squared minus 2. Alright, so we took the yellow out, and then left over was x squared minus 2. Right? And let's shade these two. In the bottom, and let's use green, we can factor out x minus 3. I'm going to factor out x minus 3, and what's left over is x squared minus 3. We got x squared minus 3. And finally, since we are talking about division of fractions, division of fraction is same as if we copy the first fraction entirely. So we got x minus 1 times x squared minus 2 all over x plus 1 times x squared minus 3, and then we multiply that by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So we flip the second fraction upside down. So we got x minus 3 on the top times x squared minus 3, that's on the top, and we have x plus 1 times x squared minus 2 on the bottom. Now if we look at our fraction, we can see that we can cross out x squared minus 2 from the top and bottom. We could also cross out x squared minus 3 from the top and bottom, which leaves us with the following. So we have on the top, we're going to have x minus 1 times x minus 3. So that will be x minus 1 times x minus 3. And at the bottom of this problem, let me make some space. And at the bottom of this problem, we're going to have x plus 1 times x plus 1. So that's x plus 1 times x plus 1. And then if we simplify that, we can rewrite that as x minus 1 times x minus 3. And in the bottom, x plus 1 times x plus 1 is just x plus 1 to the second power. And that is your answer.